I'd like to thank you so very much for inviting me, Michelle. I'm not sure where you are, and congratulations on putting together a great community forum. I do want to give a plug for Royal DJs. I was on that dance floor last night, had a great time, thank you very much. So, I am Margaret Wallen. I work at Cerebral Palsy Alliance with Iona, and I want to talk about this resource that's on our website to explain what it is and why we developed, and hopefully it will be of benefit to people. I'm going to talk about the background to its development, a little bit of an orientation to it, and how we developed it, and the reasons why I want to tell you about how we developed it. And there's an opportunity for your participation in this as well, so at your liberty. So Cerebral Palsy Alliance, just to put this in context, is a service organisation first and foremost, or originally it provides services for people with cerebral palsy and their families from birth all the way through the lifespan, so early intervention all the way through to vocational accommodation sorts of services. But we also have a research institute where Iona and I work, and a research foundation. And the foundation's responsible for raising money and supporting research into prevention, cure and treatment of cerebral palsy internationally, and supporting collaborations between researchers so we can fast track research and get it out to the people who need the results most. I want to talk about this little intersect between the Institute and the service arm of our organisation, where we're very committed to knowledge translation, and by that I mean getting the results of research into practice. And we also have a philosophy of engaging with consumers in that process. So what I mean by a knowledge translation strategy is a way of getting research findings and communicating that in a way that people will understand them. So we want to be able to offer information to people with cerebral palsy and their families about the interventions that are available to them. We also want to offer that information to clinicians, so clinicians know what evidence-based interventions they can be offering to the clients who are working with them. And so there came about our About CP Interventions and Therapies resource. So this is a screenshot of our website. That top picture changes, but essentially that's it. You can either Google Cerebral Palsy Alliance or put in that website address. The website actually goes down here too, so there are a few other boxes down here. And the reason that I'm telling you that is if we click on the About CP part of the website, the landing page for that looks like this. And the What is Cerebral Palsy part of this part of the website is the most frequently visited part of our website. More than 50% of the hits to the site go there. And that talks about what is cerebral palsy, the causes, how it's classified, the types of cerebral palsy and so on. But it really is this part that I wanted to talk about today, so interventions and therapies. When we click on that part of the website, this is a landing page. We can then, so what we see there is a list of interventions, and I'll explain what each of those contains, not each of those interventions, but generally what's in those pages. People can go to this part of the website and just put in a term to search for, or can specify a search based on a child's or adult's age, their type of cerebral palsy, mobility status, etc., or can look down the list of interventions. So for the purposes of demonstrating to you, I'll choose behavioural interventions for children's sleep. Every page looks very similar. We follow a bit of a formula. So the top part is just a couple of statements about the particular intervention. So people can look at it and go, might be for me, I might scroll down further and read, or, oh no, that's not what I thought that was about, and you can leave the page. So if we scroll down the page for people who have chosen to look at a little bit more information about it, we see then that there's just a snapshot of information about who this information might be useful for. And I do want to reassure you that all this gobbledygook here has, when you put the cursor on it, it's got a rollover, so that means a little bit of text comes up and explains what that gobbledygook means. And in particular, these question marks here link to more detailed information about it, so we don't just throw that stuff up there. Also, each of the pages has just a little bit of information about these things, who may be able to assist with providing this kind of intervention. So for behavioural interventions for sleep, there's a list of the professionals. We try and be a bit generic so that it's relevant to people not only who relate to Cerebral Palsy Alliance, but then for people who are our clients or wanting to be our clients, then there's a specific piece of information related to the organisation and a link to how they might make contact with the services. And I apologise, it's not so relevant to you. The fees is obviously much related to Australia, but the time for each of the interventions, we just try and give people an indication of how much time it might take. So for this intervention, we haven't got much information there, but for some of the more intensive interventions that Yannick was talking about before, when we've got more information based on the evidence, we'll put a little bit more information. If we scroll further down the page, if someone's still interested in this intervention, then we scroll further down and we provide more detail. So it's not a lot of information, but a bit more detail about the intervention to help make a decision about whether this intervention might be appropriate for you and your family. And so under each of these links, there is scrolls down, maybe one paragraph, maybe 2 paragraphs, not a whole lot of information, but definitely more details. I'll go back because I just wanted to say that throughout the pages there'll be this little superscript number, and that just tells people that we've got particular information from a reference, from a particular source, and then that links down to a reference list which I'll show you later so that you can follow up with those references if you wish to do so. On each page there's some information about assessment, and the reason for that is we families and clinicians were wanting to push the point that an assessment is a critical part of an intervention, to be able to tailor the intervention to the individual's goals and the individual's challenges and strengths and characteristics. And obviously it's so important to measure as we're going along that an intervention is actually working and is worth the investment of time and money and resources. And then we have a section summarising the best available evidence for each of the interventions, so you can get an idea of the quality of the research that informs these interventions and what that research says. So there's more information hidden under each of these headings. We always put the date of the last searches we completed, so you know how old the information is there. And finally, the reference list, which that's a long one. Sometimes it's just 3 or 4 references. But what we've tried to do here is where there's this full reference is available freely on the internet, we link it to the title of the reference, and where we're not able to get that reference free, then we link you via this link to an abstract. So it's a little bit more information, and mostly that abstract gives you information on where you could get the full text version. So that's what each of the pages looks like, and I just wanted to revisit this landing page for About CP Interventions and Therapies. What I've done there is pretended that I'm interested in finding an intervention for a school-age child who has hemiplegia, who is upper limb function is around max level 2, and that they're having some trouble with sort of dressing and feeding and tying shoelaces. So that's the kind of information I'm after. So by putting those two categories together, then it narrows the list of interventions to just a few of those, so we can scan just a few interventions rather than searching through all of them. I just wanted to move right along now to how we developed the content for this section. The main principles are that it's a rapid review process. So Yannick earlier talked about a systematic review. Yannick, did that take a long time to do? Very intensive, but we don't have the resources to do that for lots of interventions. So we've used a rapid review process, so a shortened version of the way that Yannick prepared her information. And we choose to use the best available evidence, because for all interventions we don't have those gold standard systematic reviews to draw on. Sometimes we don't have any evidence, and so we're able to say that and interpret, make some recommendations about that intervention based on whatever research there is. We aim, and I'll show you how, to be very objective in the information, to minimise the bias that's in the information we provide, to be transparent. But most of all, I wanted to show you the process that we go through because we aim to be trustworthy and reliable, basically. So this is the workflow that for each topic that we develop, we walk through. For the topic selection, to choose what topics we have on our list to work through, we started off by a whole, quite a long process of consultation with various stakeholders, and in particular with people with cerebral palsy and their families. And asked about topics, but also how would you like this information to look, and what would be the easiest way to search for it, and what devices do you use to, how best to get this information to you. We then have a Cerebral Palsy Alliance content governance group that takes a whole lot of information into account to help work out which of the topics we work through and in what order. And we did a phase 1 of 20 interventions, and then we sent that out for evaluation as well, and did some focus groups and questionnaires, surveys over Facebook and social media. And we made quite a lot of changes to lots of different things on the website as a result of that very valuable evaluation process. So the rapid review process, which takes us from searching for the literature through to actually writing the content, is carried out by a minimum of 2 people. One, a clinical expert in the area, and the other person, a researcher who's able to interpret the research. We search the international databases. We select the best available evidence, so by that we mean the highest level of evidence, and as I mentioned, we start with systematic reviews if they exist. If not, go to randomised controlled trials. If not, keep working our way down the levels of evidence. We separately, the people involved in the topic separately summarise and appraise the quality of each of the articles that we're going to include in the summary of evidence to work out the quality and how trustworthy those studies are. And then we use this system called GRADE, which is a published way of looking at the quality of evidence that we make recommendations on about particular outcomes. And that's really just to show you that it's a bona fide way of rating the quality of evidence. After we've written the content, it then goes to 2 external peer reviewers from a scientific point of view. Those people are external and often international experts in the area. The information goes to a web writer who translates our techno gobbledygook speak into plain English and gives us advice about how it would be structured well on the website. It also goes to 2 consumer reviewers, so those are people with cerebral palsy or their families, and sometimes we go to consumer review before web writing and sometimes the other way around. And finally, once we've done the best we can with those topics, it goes to back to our content governance group for approval, and then we publish that information. So we have set this up to be a reasonably rigorous process. I'll just really briefly show you what's in this other bit of the website. We include those details about how we develop the process of content development there. We acknowledge all the contributors to the project, so the people who write the content and all the expert and consumer reviewers. We have an opportunity for people to volunteer to be involved if they wish, particularly as consumer reviewers. A glossary, because it's one of the techniques for us for being able to minimise vast amounts of words in the topic but make sure people understand what they are, and that the glossary has like the rollover I mentioned before to the different topics. We've got an opportunity for people to give us feedback, and this is on every page as well. So if you read something and somebody has a violent reaction to it, you can get straight on there and tell us how terrible it was and how we should change it, or possibly to say, oh, that was so helpful and really helped us in making a decision. And we also have sort of this governance process, which we describe there, and the reason for having that governance process is because we're accredited, and I'll just explain that in a minute. We provide an opportunity for people to find out what studies are going on that they might like to be involved in. And the other thing is that we invite people to be on an email list that we can automatically update people with when we put new material on the website as well. So the topics that are on the website at the moment, there's actually 3 more than this at the moment, but they're the topics that we've got up there at the moment, and we're gradually adding to that. The ones that are in green italics are the most frequently visited interventions. So I'll just give you a minute to flick through those. And then these are the topics that we will be going up, and hydrotherapy's gone up in between me writing this and speaking now, so it's there, and then the other interventions will be coming up over the next few months. We're working on those ones all at the moment. And we have some assessments also on the website, and we've chosen these assessments because they're the ones that are most frequently listed in the topics. You know, there was an assessment section in each of the topics, so these are the ones that are most frequently included, and we'll be adding to these over time as well. And I mentioned, because we're really quite chuffed or quite pleased about this, we're accredited by Health Direct Australia, which is a federal government funded repository of links to trusted health-related partners. So we had to meet a whole lot of criteria to become accredited for that. So that sort of, we hope, adds to our legitimacy as well. So our future plans are to do another second round of our evaluation, probably early next year. So watch out on Facebook for opportunities for you to have some input to that evaluation. So it's about the process of developing that information, but also on the content and the navigation and how it looks and so on. And we also would like to extend our network of contributors, and I suppose this is where I will ask for your input as well. This is an address to email me on if you would like to be involved in one of these things. Firstly, to volunteer to contribute as a consumer reviewer. And we send you a Word document. It's usually about 1,500 words, so not very long. And we ask you to be ruthless in your feedback. It doesn't help us for you to say that's really lovely. It really helps us if you give us feedback about what's included or what we've missed out or what you think is biased or unfair. And I just wanted to mention that we have a group called CP Quest Partners, and they are a group of people with cerebral palsy and their family members who involve them, we involve, and they are involved in various aspects of the Research Institute activities, including reviewing these about CP interventions and therapy topics for us. Also, email me or go to the website and fill in your details if you would like to receive notifications of new topics coming online. And finally, at the moment we've got a whole lot of topics listed in a survey that we're asking people to go in and nominate the 5 priorities for us to include in future topics. So if you would like to vote on those, please either type in this link or email me and I'll send you the link. We'll keep the survey open until October 9th, and after that we'll collate it and we'll understand more from many other international stakeholders about what might be the priorities for information to go on the website.